Good morning. Just one of my fans is going. All right. Let's see. We want the web server just in case we need it. Let's remember dealing with maybe some life interaction stuff here. All right. So next step. Well, all right. So we got this separated from this. And remains available with life data from other servers. So, if we did a search, and we did here, you shouldn't be able to animate anything. If we just refresh into this, we don't have that option. So what is the actual driver of that? Let's see. The button is actually shown on the leaflet side. That is our anim toggle, which is toggle animation controls. Let's see, is that it? Yeah. So haste layer, overlay add, overlay remove. Because that's following what layers are available. Object bounds. Well, maybe that enables some sort of layer. Okay, so anim overlay, yes. Changing servers doesn't necessarily... Well, this is a status. I could just resend this on a server change. But we should be getting a server change notification too, right? So... Okay, so life data isn't available. I was going to really do this on either of them. Okay. So we must have cleared the data, probably on the Elm side. Huh, so the problem is... Yeah, if we clear the data, we should... And then if it was off and we get data, we enable it. So probably... Or is this a no data layer? We had to send something to the map for this. I guess it could be JavaScript clearing that itself. Is that data layer? Set data layers. Well, how about the messages we're getting when we do that? All right, we are on to so data later current time overlay visible. Okay, notable objects. Well, that was actually okay. So that was interesting, but that was correct. I don't know why we resent that one. We resent because it would be the worlds of that server. Send the current server data layer with nothing, but we don't turn it off. So that was a message we sent from Elm. Where do we do that? It's probably gonna be like leaflet.data layer. There's data layer visible. This is like we received something. Maybe we received a data layer? Acquire selected lines, that's true. Well, here's something interesting. Set server update. If the data was for that server, fine. If not, we do that. So we actually, if it's going to be blank, the thing is that layer exists. So it's considered an animated layer. And that was like data layer visible. Actually, what we really care about is this, I guess. Okay, maybe that's not what we're hitting. Or did I not refresh soon enough? Yeah, there's no data layer visible here. And actually, you always have animated data, so it's kind of a bad example. Okay, so this wasn't it. There's a that's... Is this that we did a search and it came up blank? Well, those are the only places we hit that. Okay, so that's a server update. We think that means that that's not it. That's just going to be a JSON value, so we don't care. I guess it could have been an error. But that doesn't send a message, though. All right, on to. Okay, so we did a data layer. That's from our search request, right? Or is this back from JavaScript? Fetch recent lives. Fetch data layer. But that shouldn't have been blank. Oh. So you actually do technically have data now. Maybe I just didn't see it before. Oh, maybe I didn't even have the, yeah, I probably just didn't have my data server up when I was seeing this before. So if it's on, we go ahead and do a new search. Well, that means this switching back should do a new search. But maybe the time range got rescoped? Maybe we would cache one result per server or something? So there is one case where we blanked it. And earlier we did see a case where it came up nothing. Yeah, it does search. Or whether the actual message sent was nothing. So that's what we need to keep an eye on. Oh, you still got a debugging statement in you. Well, cleaned up one case. Oh, what we can do is to switch to something that definitely has no data. Okay, so you definitely have no life data. So we did a query. So we're going to have to say if we get an answer and the answer is empty, then it's just off. Because really, it's that this server doesn't have any life data. Maybe I just have to add that as a data point. How, where do we get, oh, server list is a data file. Oh. But it doesn't include servers without any life data. So we do have to have those constants set up somewhere. Well, it might be a display thing. Okay, there's your code changes. Two hours, one life. Crucible, 2 hours, one life. Future. This might be where I want to clean that up, just because I'm here. So I got not available, not available, not available. List version. Well, this is the initial setup. Versions, objects, object indexes, current time. Well, this is going to be, so this is returning a server, so ID, server name, min time, max time, code change, expands, versions, worlds, objects, monuments. So this is meant to be more permanent data. So I wouldn't necessarily have to have the lives themselves there. It wouldn't really be a remote data because it can never really have data. So it's probably just a Boolean. And then when we set up Crucible Future, my server, we say it's going to have lives, and then those things are going to say they're not. Is a server an whole data? Yes, but okay, yeah, I've got two servers. All right, and the main places we're going to be doing this is going to be here. All right, future is going to be, and then basically any other constant server is not. So anytime we would otherwise go to fetch, we can just say don't bother. What ends up doing? That's matching lives. Fetch recent lives. Fetch data layer. What was Where did you come from? No current arc. Data layer equals not requested. Player equals stopped. You should probably be a data layer visible. maybe I originally sent that from somewhere else. Oh, because this is resulting in a command. Fetch data for time. So there's actually a precursor to this that just says, yo, is there any data to fetch? I mean, or fetch data layer. I don't think that has a full model, though. Base URL, server ID, start time, end time. No. Oh, this is selected server. So that's time range, start, end. You're a maybe. I guess we could false that. Selected server. Oh, selected server is just the number because it's defaulting to 17. What is... Oh, that's model.selected server, so that's just the number. So we have to have a way to get to a server. Is it going to be like current server? Yes. It's still going to be a maybe. Current server model. That could actually pipeline, right? So it might not be a server at all. So map it to has lives, and then maybe I need a false there. Then we do this. Else we do that. This is probably this. All right, so we actually get data. Okay, that's still there. So this might not be the path we're taking. I didn't watch when that happened. Oh. There were 272 of those. That's concerning. Although it might be because there's no data layer, we were re-requesting it. Oh no, this only had one. But it did go through here. So there must be something else that's triggering. There's fetch up to and fetch between. Those are the only places that hit this particular path. No, these are specifically from the search. This must be like fetch recent? Model.map type equals nothing. Car selected lies. Toggle show life data. That's a view specific thing. That's an overlay add. Well, maybe we have to deal with the spam here. Alright, map UI. Let's turn off animation to cut down some of the messages. This is time notice. I keep resetting back to zoom. We wanted to show data. Oh, there's... Oh, we've got a loop. Wonderful. How can I break you? Well, it eventually settled. Jeez. Okay, that was determinations from the map that or what mode we were in. So maybe that was all queued up from before. That window size caused a lot of spam. Okay. I don't know why the first thing we got there was a... Oh, maybe it's just how it prints. It was probably overlay visible false, which gave us the determination static. Although you'd think that actually... That would actually give us inert? And then we got an event that we removed it, which is a little bit of a feedback. What is data animated? I think... Yeah, that's just tracking a fact. So that shouldn't cause a feedback in and of itself. Overlay remove is tracking a fact. It shouldn't cause a feedback in and of itself. Okay, that's empty. So we were sending this as two commands. Maybe I should have JavaScript saying, well, it's blank. We're just going to hide the layer. Could be a problem if the user was trying to check it on. Or we have to put some sort of special case that's saying that doesn't count as an animated layer with no data. Well, that's a case where we have, it's like the life layer has static and animated variants. So because of that, it counts as an animatable thing. And I think that's going to be a general facility. Each layer if it has alternate anim and alternate static. So I'd have to very specifically, I'd have to put a special case in for that layer. Okay, so we said it was false and it was empty. Does sending data automatically turn it on? Set data layers. So that might be the feedback. Is data just an array? Message.lives.data. Looks like it. I don't know if I want to forcibly remove it. Okay, so that's one possible source of feedback. Oh. Okay, that's not circular. The life data layer is off. Animation controls have disappeared. We still need to fix this bug. Oh, maybe you don't get notable objects because you don't have data that can be attached to. You should be blank, right? Yeah. Map UI. And this should be an item off our list. Change timeline when changing servers. What do we want to change about it? Oh, to make sure it's in range? Well, you know what? I should probably just do this while I'm thinking of it. Since I've run across what this is. So we're not adding you. If I've done this once, I probably can figure it out again. I might have had... Or was label name just a feature of server? Server name, yeah. Well, I don't know if that was a long name or the short name. Oh, I did have to adjust some of your stuff, though. Okay. I think this is more, do we want to change current time and range? And those are one of the ones I'm really not sure about. This might be a thing we just need some user experience to see if I want it to do that. Oh, you know what? I never put a line between you. I mean, it's kind of fine. It really is kind of acting as one button. So that might put us back to, does it work good for what we want? So we do that, we look around. What's our selection period? 2:59 to 3 o'clock, 12 to 13. I guess I could have the play button and then say that would automatically switch you into animated mode. So the thing is, if I get rid of this, I guess I could have an extra open timeline button there. I could maybe move some of these options back. I think I originally had some of the options on that page, and I condensed everything. Oh, I've kind of got defaults for how this thing sets up, too. And I'm not sure those are going to be long-term defaults. So one of the bumps we have right now is that we typically want to, well, I'm used to opening this to go into animation mode. Should that open the timeline? There are use cases where you don't do that. Because we're doing object search, the results change a little bit depending on if you're animated or static mode. We could say that if you're in an animated mode, you have to have timeline visible. And then if you're in static, you have the option to have it open to do time selections. And maybe once you're here, you have the option to manually close it. The implication to going here is that you want to do, that you might want to play, for instance. Okay, so I think I've got a state. Timeline. What was data animated was my old one. Map animatable. Maybe I should have more of a word for that. I think I was following sidebar, which was just sidebar. And if we change it there, that should fix up most places. Yeah, so we got that function. So it's probably just going to be like view model.timeline. That might be the only use for you. And then that's the function, that's the function. And then probably the leaflet messages should change to go along with that. Which is actually what we did the internal message here, internal variable here. And then map UI calls that. Okay, so you still toggle, you're independent. And we want to say that if we're toggling data animated, leaflet.dataAnimate. Oh no, that's map animatable. Toggle animated. Okay. Yesterday. Do you actually start animation? That might be a don't show it actually. So toggle animated. Now you see, this is weird because it's like we want to make it visible if it's animated. Timeline. And timeline visible. We have to repeat that logic there. Right, syntax change. Model. Right, you have to be batched. All right, so we can toggle this by itself. We can go into here. We can turn it back off. But if we go into here, we're going to get that. So my workflow is do. Go into there. Huh, this used to like jump to the end of period. I don't know which part of that did that. Or I guess I'm just used to always resetting it. Oh? Oh, I must have released over the edge. Oh, okay. I'm supposed to... Maybe because there's a window here? It's supposed to detect that. Okay, well that's going to be its own little issue. So this is on hold. This is on hold. I thought we had fixed that. Wait. Okay, so I activated one of these other things somewhere. And put us all the way back. Oh, so I guess just doing this will reset time. Because I clicked in an off area. We also reset our position somehow. Maybe I did an accidental drag there. Oh, and I'm usually doing that, but that might be personal preference. Something to think about. All right, did we actually change anything? Yes, we renamed and we said auto open if going to minus yeah. Auto open timeline when going to animated. All right, now how do we break drag? So that's supposed to be the window enter event, and then we check the button status. I guess held is the main thing here. And then does the event actually occur? Okay, that was holding it. Oh. Also, it's not reoccurring? So I'm not getting new enter events. Oh, do I only get them when the button's held? Oh, I only subscribe to them when it's held? But we are definitely in dragging mode. Okay, so leave only subscribing and during drag I could totally believe. Yeah. I might have to do, this is layout. I think the when handler was taking care of that. L is not defined. Oh, okay, that was interesting. Okay, so supposedly we're subscribed to mouse enter. So we only get mouse enter events when the button is down. Well, I can't do that because it does stuff. What about this then? Not getting leave events, interestingly enough. Oh, because we're not in drag state. So we only get mouse enter events if there's a button down. That's MSDN. Button press on mouse leave. Another drag dev enters the element. Now an element is being dragged. While dragging an element. There's drag and drop. Yeah, the problem is I can't track it while it's out of the window. And I had this working before. Maybe the browser actually updated? Okay, so these are in page. I put this on layout. So I might have to do like one element up, at least. Or just have some sort of dummy parent element, because you're still getting messages. But you're not layout. Now, is layout like HTML? Or is that like some internal div? There's bodies. Mouse enter. So that's already an internal div. We have any other mouse centers? No. Well, I am technically tracking mouse move events, so maybe in the mouse move I can also get button state? I forget what I did to debug that mouse withheld decoder, so we just have to change the signature of that. And if we ever get a move without a button held, we have to assume it's a release. And at that point, I don't, well, if I can get the mouse enter, I guess. What did I do with leave? Oh, drag it to the extreme. So that's doing something useful. We probably get a move at the same time? So this is going to be super spammy. Oh, but we only subscribe to it while we're dragging. Okay, so we still want leave. We might not need enter at all. So mouse decoder, mouse withheld decoder. And then you need to be updated to be like this. Window enter, window move. We've still got super spam in there. All right, so if we, oh, I should still be getting this, right? We still see this once? Even if we're effectively turning it off? How did that break? Is the decode failing, maybe? So we never get the message? Oh, there's also timeline move. But that's within the space of the thing itself. So I guess decode fail would be the answer. What? This isn't even the code. It was broken by another tab? That sounds like a browser bug. Ow? Well, okay, I don't have the debug statement this time. But it's seeming like we get different events that a code's just failing. Okay, we do kind of have a way to get back into this. Okay, so whatever we're checking in for window enter is not present on window move. And since the event's failing, that kind of tells me that the decoder must be failing. Because client decoder is what we use in regular mouse decoder. Oh. Actually, is this? There was some bogus event I was trying to get to filter out. Is that why my enter's not working? That's probably what's breaking the move. Okay, that's breaking my enter false. We're only subscribed when we were in dragging mode. Huh. What was this fixing? I guess I could go back into the history to see that. Oh? Maybe I didn't actually check that that worked. Okay, so that's not it. We did get a false before, though. Okay, but that was the two-step thing. Enter false. I just saw you fail. Maybe I hadn't recompiled yet? Okay, why the heck did I do that? Might be commit message. Spurious mouse enter. Now you see, I don't say why. Oh, we had junk enter events. Oh, where were those? And why were they messing us up? It might have been something I kind of saw just in the course of other development. Or maybe this is a cross-tab contamination thing again. So now we're not getting junk enters. So I guess that means we don't remove that code yet? Oh, and there's my event debugger. Maybe it's a cross-tab contamination thing, because I typically end up with a couple other tabs open with for reference stuff. Tracking it in move could be a fallback. All right, so is that what we want for our default selection? I think that's current arc, current span. This might be model. I don't want time load. Time range 0, arc. So that would be, I think my normal default was like most recent span. So I think we're getting to the point where we can remove the old timeline. I haven't really had to do anything with that in a while. Okay, so... And I guess we could leave that indented. Okay, that cuts out a little bit of the space usage. Although, we didn't have a scroll bar before, did we? Because we have more elements? Okay, that was... Oh, no, there's something funny about the size of this. Was that specifically because we did this? Kind of? Oh. So something calculates just a little bit too big there. Oh. No, I hadn't compiled yet. Can I put a none here? No. So something about the old one sucked up some slack in the layout or something. We really don't want that to be there. I don't think this is the right answer. Well, it solves the problem after a fashion. You see, this is variable height, so I don't know how big to make the container. All right, what we really want is that. And something else I should do for this kind of testing model. Timeline visible. Alright, what if there's only one? Okay. I don't have a way to do no selection on you. So that's kind of interesting. Man, I don't know. I don't know if that's something we can make an alley for. I mean, probably these have a height and a border, and a height and a border, and then this has some padding. Leaflet might complicate it a little bit. What is so weird about you? No, that's everywhere. We need like a border each. Width each. Model.timelines. Okay, it's not that. Maybe it's some sort of rounding issue? Alright, so this thing had some padding to take care of the play button. Okay, but that doesn't do it. That's that L. Hmm. Well, we can ask if it's the timelines or the header, I guess. And it appears to be the timelines. Actually, the header is like all up in this stuff, isn't it? Well, it'd be this row, basically. Right, since it's the first item, syntax changes. Okay, so it's definitely something about the timelines themselves. In row. Okay. And we got a whole bunch of behinds. Maybe some slightly different sizes of that stuff. Okay, confirmed. It's one of the behind layers. And maybe the overflow was getting soaked up by the other timeline system? But now it's actually going below the edge of the window. In which case, I guess just like having a little bit of border or padding would be able to soak it up. Okay. So it's the text. Which probably means I just need to make these a little bit taller. Yep, there we go. Does that leave a gap? Oop. Yeah, the backgrounds need to be bigger too. Behind content. Okay. Timeline default selection. I think I know where that's coming from. So we say select a range that says, sure, default to the arc, and then that, and then there's a thing on top of that. Oh, I never. I was thinking about investigating other data types. But I put that off to get it fully functional. Okay, so it's functional, but animation playback is super slow. I guess that's okay now. Well, I mean, this is the server range, basically. What is the server range of from start until today? You probably do have an end date, I just don't know when it was. I mean, I could probably just look at when the last useful message in the Discord was. Uh, what order? Okay, there's an E. Okay, well, there's 2020. Just kind of fell apart. Last three comms were 3 months ago. So probably end of 2020 be Reasonable. Oh, can I... How does he use that to change? Okay. Crucible. Max time, yeah, current time. Min time, Crucible code changes. That's not an update, those are... Remember this is... No. Age. That's a person, player age. Yeah, start. Worlds have ends. But, yeah, code changes don't have ends. But you had... Do we ever export this little helper? New. Well... It'd be a one-off here, right? Uh, 2020. That might do at the start of the day, but close enough. Oh, but you didn't have this library. Actually, does Time have a way to do human dates at all? To UTC string. Can we even construct 2, 2, 2, 2, 2? Nope. How do I import you? I'll hold data as data. Okay, yeah. And notice if that changed these, or maybe yeah, she was in there. Okay, so you're at current time. You were kind of like beyond time, so that might have been part of the changing things. And 2 is still going. We just don't have any data on it. All right. So we want to Time control. I want to know how often you render. Oh, this is not, was it not, wait, was it an ID? Okay, that's a lot. That's still a lot. And specifically, this is no good. All right, so the different lines, probably not actually useful, and we'll get better deduplication on the console if we do that. Yeah, even when this animates, we're doing it. Which, okay, so that's actually a time change. That rendering for that makes no sense. So this might not be working how I thought it did. Because zone shouldn't be changing, drag shouldn't be changing, hover shouldn't be changing. Well, how much is in hover? It is a time, so anything that's actually in this section. Okay, theme isn't going to change. Zone isn't going to change. Actually, I guess I could pull out, like, oh, it's timeline. So it's model. Well, I guess what the timeline is changing is of relevance. Okay, same time. Same zone. We've got a whole bunch of these. How do I know? How do I judge? Maybe I actually temporarily remove the detailed data. I mean, that might affect the quality and things. Because that's the thing that makes this fat. Data equals, okay. Oh, that was to do the ARCS version. What are you then? You're a timeline data. Oh, we can put in timeline blank. Oh, this is only timeline 0. Okay. So the max time for each of these is probably different. So we're really all we're seeing here is the cycling between the 3 different bars. Yeah. Min time. Cycling between. And actually, if I redid this so it only did one timeline, I'd probably get a cleaner signal. Set time range. Oh no, I still got 2. Oh, we have to have a time range set to show that that might actually be a state I don't want to deal with. And that does get me down to 2. So it's a little bit easier to see the flip-flop. Okay. Time range. So the only thing that's changing here... Nothing's changing here. So HTML lazy does not work as well as we wanted. Are we using lazy here? That's you. And we are applying arguments to this. Oh, and then you're wrapping the border around it. Should I bump that down and make it part of time control? We're going to have a top level element, right? Oh, because that was probably just because of palette. Oh, you've got theme. Although, if she's the background... Okay, so this is actually itself almost a lazyable thing. And I guess that parts of this, if we're playing, parts of this has to do, but there's too many refreshes here. Even outside of the time advance. Okay, so yep, that's double thick borders. I guess that's we're kind of working on draw efficiency. Okay, so there's nothing in here that's making the individual calls to these lazy. Now, we still need to advance check like the entire timeline thing. Probably shouldn't be updating. Elm UI has a lazy, right? Element.lazy, lazy n. We are mapping lazy to a function and that argument and that argument. And yes, that makes no difference. Alright, so I guess I misunderstood lazy. So that implies what? So when do we actually recalculate timelines? I want this to be case sensitive. Start time select. Okay, so that's getting the time. We did that to make them all the same. Display timeline. Oh, 01 is old stuff. From like a temporary version of this. I don't know if that helps. Probably not. No, I need the Word version. Alright, so we are constructing a new one of those on every render. So probably timeline model. Well, once again, timeline model. There's there for the range. You're taking an entire model too. But that depends on a lot of things. Model dot. Well, there's also if we pass it to any subfunctions. And then whatever current monuments pulls out. Timeline selections. All right, so sidebar is a status. We've got model width. We've got model drag. Timeline selection, selected server. And then everything in the server. Well, maybe only the mid time and max time? Current monuments, which might be going to the server again. But I don't think, once we get set up, server data shouldn't be changing much. Sidebar with drag selections. Any server update is probably fine. Shouldn't happen too often. These only go up to lazy 5. Can we do anything better with the backgrounds? The backgrounds are the real problem. Time control. Did we end up using arcs for everything? Yeah. So it's getting a timeline. It's getting a list of, I mean, you're really ranges is all you ended up being. Okay. So you have a palette, you have the timeline, and this ranges gets reconstructed every time. I might have to do that where we pre-calculate it so we can actually compare that. Palette line, min time, max time, and monuments is another piece of data, and width. And then the data, time range. The data went into the thing that became the range here. Do I ever use this? Not here. Not here. This is, yeah, screen to time. So we do kind of care about what's displayed. One way to tackle it would be to come up with a new data structure that just has exactly what we need to display it, and then try to catch all the times when that updates. You could perhaps get by with some of the things by just continually comparing them. Some of the more detailed ones, you might have to catch the actual event horizons. So right now we don't store timelines because they are determinable. So the timeline so palette, any Timeline operation. And then the upstream data of the ranges. Okay, ID, min time, max time, width, data, monuments. This stuff actually should not change very often, only when we do certain interaction operations. Now there is still the current map time, which is not part of this. So we still have to go in and update the nub. And I guess there's showing and hiding these things. And you are completely determinable from the model. Well, all the stuff that goes into data, that should be based mostly more or less on server. I guess we could have actual, let's see. The sidebar status affects the width, and the window width affects the width. Model.drag can be affecting the status of the currently dragging line and any downstream lines. Actually, do we live update that? Wait, why? Okay, we did get a, I thought I had that not update position. Maybe I can constrain the position, but I'm not able to drag any, well, I'm not able to drag selections anymore. That has something to do with my spurious enters. Okay, so there's almost some things worth changing there, but this is all view stuff, I think. 01, 01, no longer used. Display time line arcs ended up being more than arcs. All right, so you are back to normal. Oh, so it was something about how we were breaking things. Hmm. Oh, right, because I was completely ignoring all selection stuff. Okay. And what the... Okay, that's matched there. And then you should be... You should be at the same indent as that, though. Hmm. ID, min time, max time, time range, width. Could I abstract the data? I guess if the data change, you just have to re-render. And monuments are going to follow from the current server and whatnot. Current world, world's in range. So that's 0. Yeah, so it's using a cut down version of it based on its range. Well, if we passed in other data, I guess you could do the range cut downs in the view side. guess the rendered version would just be the ranges we care about. We care about what type it is for the hit detection. That could just mean storing some different data. So we're not actually the hover stuff though. It's not screen to time. Do I? What do I do for hover? We go to a time. Okay, so it's only you that we display something for. Otherwise, we're just updating the current time. And that's entirely outside of the timeline itself. So do we ever use anything other than the start and end time? Start, start, start. It would have to be in here that we did. So actually, I thought I'd be doing data feedback stuff here. I don't think we ever ended up doing that. So this is really just data or not data. And the only good thing about this is that the contained item itself is probably going to be comparable. I don't know, because this is also in range. So this is not going to be the raw stuff. That would mean we'd always have to be cutting it down to range. Our goal is to draw it very rarely. Could we capture the entire server data structure? We'd have to make sure. We'd have to then make sure we update the timeline anytime that the server changed. So then we have a set server. We have what? Arc list. I guess rebuild worlds. Right now it's just doing servers, but That is when those things would change. So any update to any servers would invalidate it. That's probably fine. Unless we're doing this more than I thought. Arc list. Anytime we change server, probably. Objects received. Oh, potentially anytime we change server. Also fine. So if we capture the server you're for, current servers, technically a maybe. So I guess that would still have to be a maybe. That's a big part of the context. Did I? Okay, that was just the fade out. And we've got our range, we've got our position. We would have to construct certain things to make sure we didn't change the timeline if it didn't need it. So we'd probably have to have like a model.timelines, and we'd have to catch all the places where that would change. So range, sure. Data backing's really kind of based on index. But that's going to follow from like range and things. I guess if I only redid them when server stuff changed, I wouldn't necessarily have to keep the server reference itself. Oh, actually, one of the reasons for that data type is what if we have a different data type than a bunch of ranges? But I could conceivably compress that stuff down to just ranges for all of those. But if I ever did want to do, like, this is a span, this is an arc, this is a world. We could track that, but actually have to like the display information be different. The model has to keep timelines. We have to catch all the times that they update. Properly speaking, timeline 0 always exists. We could like make a non-empty list structure. Maybe that would be a polishing thing just to get rid of a few tests. Oh yeah, because I started ranges as the selections of each, and then if the theory it's an empty list. Hey Gina, how's it going? Not that I'm unhappy to see you, but I can't help but think that you have to be really bored to be out here. Is it a really slow day on Astroneer streams or something? Oh, okay. Yeah. Um, so thanks for stopping by. I'm just very surprised to see you. Is it a slow day on Astroneer streams or something? Got sidebar mode. We have timeline visible. We've got time range selections. And then drag hover. Political. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was one of my stream projects. Twitch made some API updates that might allow me to push some of the costs back on them, so I need to go back and update that at some point. Thank you. Yeah, I haven't quite been into perfectly regular times, which, I guess I'm sure Joe appreciates that feeling. It's like I always feel like either I'm gonna be like rushing and rushing to get there, or I'm gonna be sitting around just kind of waiting for the start time, and other people likewise. But it's one of those things where I've kind of waited for people to tell me if it's an issue on. I guess I also don't like really watch anybody who has super strict times, so might be part of it. All right, so if we were to store these, oh, should you be an array? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was originally gonna do like sort of overlapping transparent things, and that kind of gives you a better sense of the average, but it doesn't, you can't really notice discontinuities if someone's like changing schedule and it shifted. So I think the lines is maybe a little bit harder to read, but it does allow you to get that time perspective. Do I ever need to do targeted updates on these? I guess if I'm dragging one, if I'm like selecting one level, what happened there? I won't need to be messing with this. Also, this, would that be a array map? I don't know if it'd be a array map. Well, let's start with this and see how it feels. And then, well, first we have to put data in there. Oh, I guess. Yeah, for what I'm doing, having that always visible is still fine. Well, I guess I could check that and not update this, maybe. So the world rebuild would rebuild this. I said I'm going to want a function to build this. So right now, timelines equal is here. Okay, so that's stored, that's stored, that's stored, that's stored. So that might be fully narrable once we do that. So there's an individual timeline. Build timelines? You are indeed taking a model. We don't care about the individual ID. That was built on a model. And that function needed a model too. We're doing a list so far. It's not a mod. It is a online reference. I am completely rebuilding the timeline control now, so that won't quite look the same. But actually, that'll just default to there. That's the live one. It is a game called 1 Hour, 1 Life, which I don't know if you've heard of it. It's by Jason Rohr, who might be known for like Passage and some of his other kind of art games. So I started with just like re-implementing like some of the biome algorithms and things, which ironically enough is data that is very often no longer accessible. But I'm back in history here, so this is kind of what it started with. Nowadays, where are we? So that's just where you find out stuff is happening. But he started publishing map logs in part because of some like university students who wanted to like do some research on strangers cooperating. Uh, let's see. So there's, but so we have all of the player caused map changes, and it's a map log, so it's just kind of the stream of data. But I was like, oh, well, we can interpret that and see. So this is yeah, this is right. My selection's still out there. Actually, this is a very big period of time here. So I do that. Maybe like the last day. I think I still need to do some quality of life stuff on this. Let me go to animated. Oh wait, is this covering? This is actually not covering a useful range right now. Where are we? Maybe we move somewhere different. So you can actually go in and I should get rid of that too. So somebody just had a horse out there. And actually, this is a little bit slow right now, which is what thing I'm trying to work on. So once you catch up to where stuff actually started happening, and then somebody moved in. So you can actually kind of go back and see how things played out. For the most part, I mean, there's a lot of drama around griefers who like bring bears into town and kill all the sheep and things. But mostly, oh, there's a bear. Case in point. Mostly people work together. And one of the things about the game is that you are born to another player, so you will not survive childhood without their help. So there was a little bit of that kind of built in, that everybody knows that they depend on other people at least a little bit. But yeah, I mean, building is a very slow process, as you can probably tell by how much. And we call these towns. They're more like big multi-generational households if you tried to scale it to real world, but real world also doesn't live a life in an hour, so it's a game. But yeah, it takes a pretty significant portion of your life to do things like gather all the materials, and then these are plastered walls, so that takes even more time. Gotta go out, gotta go out, gotta go out, get limestone, fire it in the furnaces, add water. Um, if there weren't a lot of distractions, like starving or having kids or anything, you could probably gather all the materials to like plaster this in one life or something and get that done. But it tends to be a pretty slow process just because you have to go out and get materials, and maybe you have to stop and make food. Maybe you have a kid. Maybe somebody brings a bear to town. But if you can work undisturbed and you've got some good infrastructure for, like a horse cart, or now there's some trucks, you can sometimes get a lot of stuff done. Of course, that often ends up, you're going out gathering resources, so you're working by yourself. There aren't, unfortunately, a lot of mechanics besides, like common needs like food and having a mother that really encourage people to work together on things. It's mostly just kind of we have some common needs and we have to live together. Um, well, there's males and females, but that's kind of up to chance. You the current mechanics are that well, I've got a layer for this. There are bands. It'd be a little bit easier to see if we go back to a previous age. So this is one of the more contentious features. There's gingers, sort of whites, browns, and blacks who each live in their own specific biomes, and only people can access certain the resources in those biomes, and they can only also have children inside their native area. So you could leave your native biome to go live with somebody else if you didn't want to have kids. There's a fork called 2 Hours, One Life, where they do have no baby and gimme baby commands, but it tends to have lower population, so you have a lot of people who just kind of go off and build their own place and don't do a whole lot of multiplayer stuff at all. It's not quite the same environment where nobody really owns anything. It's just kind of the community and the people who live there. I mean, part of the complication is if nobody chooses to be a parent and somebody logs in, what happens? And I mean, kind of what happens? They come in an Eve out in the middle of nowhere. 2 Hours has a way to set a spawn seed, so once again, you kind of effectively end up owning property, which is a little different than the fully communal aspect of this. All right, so model, timeline selections, timeline model. Mm, actually, maybe you're at rebuild. No, I'm like make timelines. I might have a convenience operation at the top level to update the model. I could actually part here because it is a model operation. Yeah. Yeah, when the game first launched, it was complete free for all. Well, when it first launched, people didn't have names, so it was real easy. It was you couldn't really even tell who was family. They didn't have family relations. So like right now, you can hover over somebody. It'll say mother, brother, cousin, 3 times removed, and names just kind of exist. You can rely on that. So it was just total free for all, total anonymity. There were people who would just go around murdering, and that was very easy to do. It's gotten a lot harder, which has also taken away. Some of the freedom and also to some extent some of the ability to defend against people griefing in other ways. But there were times where every other life it was just a revenge murder fest. Killed off half the town. So that wasn't great either. We've lost a little bit of the do whatever you want with your life spirit we had in the beginning. There's been things like the band my own band restrictions and things. For a while, we got stuck in a very tiny area, and that was very traumatic for some people. It just, the developer wanted to create certain kinds of experiences, and he kept adding mechanics until he got aspects of them. But a lot of people preferred the freewheeling version of it. Alright, so that could be dropped into the view. It would package it up a little bit. Timeline. Do I fully import you? Yes, I do. And then eventually this will actually be model.timeline, so we're not updating that yet. I wonder if even that would count for lazy. When all these subfields are the same. But with does the making a new record matter? Okay, and then rebuild timelines. Do I have to be concerned with this sending stuff? No, this isn't JavaScript stuff. That's actually a convenience method, and I might also be doing just field updates that could hit that. Excuse me. All right. So one of the places it'd be set server. No, we said it was going to be the set server rebuild worlds. Yes. And update. So rebuild worlds update is a model to model message. Properties worlds. Model servers equal. So yes, we could just do that. You've got the closing brace. Oh. You depend on the updated servers, though. So this is kind of a consequent operation. Okay, that'll be a big chunk of it, and then we have to catch anything that would change the timeline ranges. Some of that actually goes through those model operations. So you're getting data out. Okay, cool. And, I don't think it's an issue for you, but 2 hours, 1 life is free, if that's a thing. I can point you over there if you're interested. But that is not going to get you that sort of as much. Well, sometimes people have their berths open, and you get a little bit of the bunch of strangers chaos, but it's not necessarily the same experience. It's not really the same experience. It's much more a controlled. A lot of the players know each other and hang out and are talking on Discord and stuff. So two different vibes. Okay, so timeline range, model. Timeline selections, yeah, time range, data animated. This is a thing where it depends on the selections that are part of there. Set time range is calling timeline range? Yes. So that's going to go through that. And then this is other rangy type stuff. So a timeline contains... that was timeline data. ID, min time, max time, which is determined by selections and by choice of server. The time range, we got set time range. The width. So we need to catch that. That should follow from that data. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I don't do very well with distractions either. Monuments should follow from the server updates. Data should follow from the server updates. Width, we might have to catch. Window size, I guess everything goes through window size. So that's the model update. So if we're dragging the window, it's going to be a lot of redraws potentially. And then what we'd ideally do, is do that and have everything just work. Okay, so initially, okay, so yeah, that's believable. So time updates are working, hover updates are working, range changes. Okay, we've got some lift issues there. Maybe that was the spurious enters I was seeing earlier. Okay, width change. Seems to be responding okay. I don't know if we're actually being conservative on drawing, though. So that's this level. Let's see, current arc, drag hover, player animatable, timelines, map time, theme. Okay, yes, that is updating just because this thing is fading. So, even though all of these elements should not be changing, I guess what I should also check is if something's causing a rebuild. Okay, a limited number of rebuilds. Still lots of those. I can kind of check. Okay, and there's some selection things I don't like here. Yeah, lots of redraws compared to the actual changes. So that needs to go in the notes. So we're working on that. We have drag selection fails. So, so it's really the backgrounds that we care about. This stuff by itself isn't too bad. It's this. Okay, and once again, we're making a structure. Oh, I never moved this down. I know it's gonna have to wait now, I guess. So you're a column. This is making a list. So that means this entire column. So you would be the function. Element.lazy. Oh, it's a function of timelines. And it's gonna have some built-in other stuff. And we could make a function for this or something. But we've got all this stuff. The individual timelines should be structures too. Maybe we can still do it back here. So all of this, and then the timeline itself. So that's a lazy 1. So it'd be lazy 2 if we included this, but I think we don't. That might not be involatile. And we want to check that if you render. Yes, you do. Maybe this stuff is currying a different function. Okay, so that doesn't work. Oop. What about the backgrounds are mostly the timeline. We also have a palette. Ooh, the ranges. I would have to do that as a pre-calculated thing to guarantee it stays the same object, I think. So we've got data. That can be nothing, that can be something, and that could be some specific things. Oh, we always build these in one place. So right now we're doing this in specific ways. So wherever we do data equals, so this is specifically worlds. So current worlds. We have a let block here, yeah. And actually, that was the stuff that was inside of there, so it's actually the worlds in range. So data is just going to become timeline worlds, and ranges is going to be max time. Well, we've got just max time here. And then that was the function. Okay, so data equals. We've got some things that are not worlds that are going here, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so your worlds again, and then your spans. And we're not actually producing any arcs at the moment. That we're setting two fields. I was going to duplicate all our work. I don't have a good solution for that. I guess I could set something with a pair and then pull it back out. Okay, so that was worlds. This is spans. Oh, we didn't, I guess we need to get this out. And we've got a line here, which should just be, do these end up using different things? Yes. $6.46. Oh, do we? Okay. Lost a variable name there. All right, and then, and there's still the timeline blank here. And then I guess for just any of these. This would almost be a catch-all. We're thinking of any other cases. Line dot ranges, which I guess we've got lines, so we could just pull it out. Oh, this is where we would have to do lazy. That's 3 arguments. All right, does it work? Seems to be okay. Dot 1, 2, 3. But we don't have any rendering feedback. Okay, that was actually a little bit lazy. And these backgrounds are the really expensive part. Okay, moving that doesn't make backgrounds re-render. Okay, we had a drag issue. Okay, yeah, reasonable number of renders. Reasonable number of renders. What about playback? No renders. We have a very, very wide selection right now, so it's not really doing a whole lot. So that's there. Is this like most recent period? Yeah, I'm not getting a good preview there. Okay. Rebuild. Or in view. We don't need to be in model. Fancy backgrounds. All right, it's getting a little bit late. Let's see if it is spurious enters on our selection. Okay, that wasn't an enter. Oh, was I doing the highlight in the background? This has something to do with the dragging. Oh. Was I handling this in the timeline? To update its time range based on, yeah. So that needs a rewrite. I think that's not part of the background. Oh, it currently is. Huh. So that's a really convenient thing to have in the timeline itself. Well, if I'm passing the ranges and we do it in a way that updates the timeline without changing, it's also being past the line. It's also being past the line. So min time, max time, monuments, width, and the range. Well, maybe you have to pull the selections out so that that's not so volatile data. Now, maybe we could deal with re-rendering those during selection drags. I mean, we were pretty much doing that before and it was kind of okay. Maybe, yeah, so you kind of had a different coordinates. Oh. You also have a different height. Yeah, so we missed that one. I was looking for PX before. Okay, so there was my enter debugging. Is that... selection drag not visible. I guess the quick and dirty version of this is render timelines. No, this is a window move. Timeline drag. So dragging, not scrubbing. Do they care about the current time of scrub time? Okay, that doesn't do it. So maybe this is actually a event issue. Was that mod? No, that was map UI. Oh no, this is drag start. So it's really just that one, I think. Oh, you were a command. So this starts to look like a more involved thing now. Alright, so it works. So far, it doesn't seem to be performing horribly, even though it's going to cause a redrive everything. It was really the animation that got painful. Alright, and then it's lunchtime. That's when I'm usually on. Let me see if I can find any other code streams to recommend. Or something. But thanks for watching. Let's see. I don't know if Ian is still there. There is somebody playing technically 2 hours, 1 life right now. What if we started late today? I look, he might be almost over. I know he was just on vacation, so I think it could be a little bit weird. What if we're looking for someplace cool to hang out? Twisted is doing some 2 hours, 1 life, and that's someplace cool to hang out. Thanks for hanging out with me, and goodbye, and until next time.